Hello guys and welcome to episode 2 of Airway Sim. Today we're going to be starting our operations. As you guys can see, this company's been mostly stagnant since its creation, but today it's time to buy some airplanes and open up some flights. Now, when picking your starting aircraft in Airway Sim is actually really important, as I've found. Now, Airway Sim has kind of an interesting aspect to it where it's really sensitive to how many unique different kinds of airplanes you choose to fly. And every time you add more to that, it gets more and more expensive exponentially. So if I have 2 fleet types, no big deal. If I have 3 fleet types, not as good as 2, but not great. But then disproportionately on 4 and then 5 and 6 and 7 and so on, the cost increases per plane to ridiculous levels, so it's basically impossible to be profitable with a large airline with running more than 3 fleet types. 3 is the magic number, it seems. It gives you just enough variety, whilst not inhibiting you too much. Now, the 707 is a consideration, but looking at that fuel burn, that's not looking too great considering the size of the aircraft. 4 little inefficient low bypass turbofans on there, or turbojet. Yeah, turbo. I don't even know what it'd be called. Did they even have like bypass at all? I don't know what jets are like back in the day. But anyways, 747 is way too big for my little purposes as a starter airline, and my number one consideration right now is the 757. 67 million is a decent price for a 757, a brand new, relatively efficient, and at the time state of the art. This is 1988 3, by the way. So yep, the 757 is state of the art right now, which is a little bit weird to say. And my last option is the brand new, also nearly state-of-the-art DC-1030. Now, per seat, these DC-1030s are really impressive in terms of their per seat cost efficiency. What do I mean by this? There's some gibberish I just spat out that makes very little sense. Well, this plane only costs 40 million, and the leasing cost scales with the cost of the airplane. And for only costing 40 million, I'm really impressed that this plane only burns, not only burns 7,000 kilograms of fuel, but it only costs 47 million, and it's got nearly 300 seating capacity. This is a relatively premium one where the seats are spaced out far apart. You can fit way more seats efficiently into a DC-1030. So that makes me like, I think I kind of want to go for the DC-1030 for that reason, because it's unbelievable per seat efficiency. But at the same time, where's my market for the DC-1030? Where am I trying to position myself in the market with the DC-1030? Well, it's going to be my long-haul carrier, and my other option would be the 767. The nice thing if I decide to go with the 767 is it's going to be a fleet I can use for the next 40 plus years. I won't have to transition it. Basically until the 787. And which realistically, I'm going to only be able to get a substantial number hold of them by the probably around 2015. But as you guys can see, there's no used 767s on the market right now. They're just too in demand. So we're not getting 767s. If I take a look at the production line, let's see how that's looking. So, new aircraft, Boeing 767, pretty expensive, 105 million as you go, or up to 105 million as you guys can see. And I'm pretty sure the production line is gonna be completely fucked. And yeah, exactly. It's not as fucked as I thought. There's some openings available where people are not plugging the production line out completely. So it's only a backlog of a couple years. That's not bad at all. I'm pretty sure the backlog for the 757 is something to behold. Let's take a look at this. Yes. Look at this. There is a 2,000 aircraft backlog for the 757 because it is the go-to plane for Airway sim. Basically, it's really overpowered in the sense that the cargo version, which will come out soon, has no competitors in its segment as the feature goes on. It's the most efficient medium to small sized cargo plane. So, yep, basically, the 757 is going to be in production for the rest of the game. So that makes me really want to pick the 757, but what do I want to use as my flagship large carrier? And right now, I'm honestly favoring the DC-1030 just because of the incredible affordability. Now, the US market, though, in general, favors smaller aircraft. And here's what I mean. If I go to my Open a New Route tab, and I go to the whole world, and just find some random long-haul routes to Atlanta. They're going to be massively oversupplied, of course. And in addition to that, like, if I do find a route which isn't massively oversupplied, which I'm unlikely to do, it's going to be, as we guys can see, a bit too thin to efficiently fly a DC-1030. You could, but it's not ideal. Routes like Singapore Changi, let's see this. That's decent actually. I'd need to do a stopover to get there, of course. Narita, eh, people are doing stopovers to fly to these routes. That's crazy. I'd love to know the load factors on those, but unfortunately I can't like hack and find out. I'm just so curious. What are these like? Let's see, 200. But wait, what? That's a 707. It's so weird to see. I'm not used to seeing 707s. Just browsing through here. Let's take a look. Let's just take a look at what our long haul market is even like, because I have no idea. So this is 120. That's skinny. I would struggle to fill a 767 on that. Copenhagen Kastrup. Is, as you guys can see, like, all these routes are 767 sized, and basically, if you can imagine me competing with my competitor here, we would both, like, with our supply combined, it would be way over the top. But because the way this game splits demand, it would split it evenly between us, because there's not much else to differentiate us. It doesn't care about my aircraft is bigger than his. It just wants to split the demand evenly. So he's going to have like a 60% load factor, and I'm going to have like a 45% load factor because my plane is bigger by about that ratio. So that's not an ideal situation to be in. So that's why there's such a heavy favoring for smaller aircraft, which can still do long haul. Basically, there's no passenger transfer, so point to point is always the winner, and point to point needs a smaller aircraft. Now, with that mouthful of words out the way, though, is you can also save ridiculously by choosing to use smaller aircraft, or by trying to use cheaper aircraft. My bad, I completely messed that up so that it made no sense. My bad. Trying to fly cheaper aircraft is also a valid strategy, but I mean, it looks to me that most of the demand which is there is simply out of range of the planes which can fly today. And when people do fly, they generally use stopovers. Now, I'm thinking, what plane comes out in the next few years that can fly to these kind of ranges? And what pops into my mind is the A330. Now, the A330 comes out in I can't really remember, but when does the A340 come out? Year 2000? And the 777LR doesn't come out even until way after that. But the 777ER does, and the 777ER can reach these kind of ranges. So, who knows? I think the A330 is likely going to be a nice plane for me to go into. But the A330 has no particular advantage over the DC-10 either. It's marginally more efficient, but fuel doesn't become a real problem until the 2000s. And once again, the sheer cheapness of the DC-1030 is what really gets me. Now, I've been ranting on and on, but I haven't checked routes which the DC-1030 can actually fly. So let's find some of those between 3,000 and 3,000, or between 4,000, because anything under that I can use the 757, which, as I said, would definitely be in my fleet. And I think it can go up to 5,500 with a 1030 ER. I think the 1030 ER is already out. Hold on, let's look. Let's see, 1030 ER. Here it is. And yeah, this game does produce an infinite amount of tabs. And this plane seems to be able to fly to up to 5,400. Then we click the model and see the maximum MTOW. Yeah, the maximum MTOW one can fly 5,400. Now the MD-11 ER can fly 6,000 something. So that's quite far. But in this range bracket, just looking, looks like we have some amount of routes that could be flown. And, that's pretty good. That's pretty good, to be honest. That's better than I expected. I was expecting to see just goose eggs or just oversupply, but considering I've only clicked a few of these and already found that there is a non-zero amount of demand, I'm pretty happy. I might be able to get a couple flights as a DC-1030, and considering the DC-1030 becomes the MD-11, it could be quite good. What I mean by becomes is it's in the same fleet group as the MD-11 in the future. Yeah, let's keep looking. I think we're not gonna find any routes down here besides maybe this. So yeah, there's some demand. It would be better flown with a 767-200 but I'm not sure if I'll be able to get my hand. You know what? Screw the DC-1030. I shouldn't be trying to look for reasons why it works. It should just work. Instead, I'm just gonna go for something which I know will work, and that's the 757. The 757 is more expensive per seat, I guess. For example, let's open the two cheapest on here. These are buy only. I really wish these people would allow leasing so peasants like me could get a hold of aircraft. Yeah, so taking a look at these aircraft, 67 million for just under 200 seats. That's honestly acceptable. It's not great considering how much 60 million is at this day and age, but let's go ahead and lease it. This is our first aircraft, guys. Wait, hold on. Let me make sure that this one's actually a max takeoff variant. Yes, it is. Because the ones less than that are quite hard to find a use for, basically. Now look at that. Cost upon order, 3.3 million. My entire budget can buy me just 3 757s. Pretty sad indeed. So, where is my first destination going to be? Open new route. If you remember, I had found some demand, and those demands were in greater than 3,000, but still in the United States. And here they are. Kaluhi. Nope, not that one. Kona. Yes, Kona. Okay, so let's make our first. Should we make it to this instead? Which one has more open? This Lihu has more open. How about Hilo? Yep, that's pretty good too. And how was this again? Not great. Alright. Kodiak. Alright, so let's do Lihu. Lihu is our first route. The first routes you get bonus route value, which is basically just multiple that ramps up over time as your route exists, to help. Basically, your route starts off not very popular and it gets more and more popular over time. But when you're scheduling in this game, what you want to consider carefully is turnaround times. You want your turnaround time to be so that your chance of delay is 1%, or sometimes 1.4% is acceptable, but any higher, and it increases your odds of cancellation and stuff a bit too much, and I would call it non-ideal for sure. Now, as you guys can see, uh, I could fly this every day because my turnaround time, wait, hold on. My turnaround time is 115 minutes, and 12:30 and 14:25 are exactly this time apart. That's a surprising coincidence, but that means I still need 1 day to schedule a maintenance check. Um, so I actually have to skip a day, something like this, and assign route to aircraft. And if we select all and put it like this, you see that's not ideal. Now, how am I going to remedy this? Is I'm going to find another route which is shorter than this and try and fit it in. Or I can do something called a 7-day scheduling. Now, unfortunately, 7-day scheduling needs 7 aircraft, so I'm not going to be able to do that today, but for now, I'm just going to leave this blank. But I don't intend to leave it that way. But it does look really bothersome. That's for sure. Whoops. So for now, I'll just schedule my maintenance check smack in the middle of the day. If I'm, in theory, moved it to here, yeah, the B check then wouldn't interfere with this route schedule. But I'm not too concerned with that kind of micro efficiency just yet because I just want to get my company off the ground. So let's go back to all those aircraft I was looking at. And let's lease another one. So this is the next cheapest one, I believe. And yes, same thing. So let's lease another one. And 1-year contract, extensions allowed. Very nice, very nice. Let's lease this aircraft up. And once again, we can then, if we refresh this page, you'll see, boom, we got another aircraft. So let's see how much demand is left. Now, I could schedule another one to Lihu, but as you guys could see, it would be, kind of full on some days. On other days, it might have slightly lower load factor. And right now, I'm still in a situation where there's other routes where I found which would be 100% full. So I'm going to go with those instead. So Kona, let's open Kona. Yep, so once again, I'm pretty sure the timing is going to be nearly exact. Here, I can check. Let's pick a random time. Alright, if I leave at 8:30, then I'll arrive at 6, and that means I'll waste 35 minutes per schedule. Do I want to do that? Not particularly. So here's what I'm going to do instead. It's going to be a bit time consuming, but I'll make 1 day. And we'll say yes. And we'll schedule this. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to hold down control and click create another route like this so I don't have to keep right clicking. And then we're going to do this. And how many minutes do I have to take it back? 7:55. Now, I didn't think this through. Because I want to start later in the day, so as the routes end up earlier and earlier in the day, I don't end up at like freaking 2 a.m. where nobody wants to fly. So, yes, when you're scheduling this game, you want to be wary of times. You want your time to be between 5 a.m. and midnight, ideally, and you would still also want to avoid 6 a.m. and past 11 p.m. because those times also aren't as good. But anything besides that, there's very little difference to be had. There is, I think there's like 4 hours where there's slightly higher traffic. But you only have to concern yourself with those for routes with an incredibly large amount of supply. Otherwise, the game cares more about is there supply versus is there not supply at all. So in this case, there's so much demand that I don't really have to worry about micro details. So it's just 25 minutes earlier than the last day. So let's remember that pattern. So the next one's going to be 10:05. I'm getting like burps, don't know why. kind of annoying. So this one should be 10:05 if I remembered correctly. And that's indeed true. And boom, boom, boom. Okay, I forgot to increment the day. Stupid me. A lot of clicks to make one change, eh? Some stuff you don't notice. Yeah, so this game's kind of tedious like this. It has kind of parts where if you want to maximize your efficiency, you kind of have to sacrifice sanity. You know, pretty fair trade-off if you ask me. You know, efficiency in a made-up video game versus real-life sanity. You know, pretty worth. But anyways, I mean, I'm not sure why most of you play games, but I definitely play games to kind of waste my time in an enjoyable way. So, honestly, like it's fun to me to try and maximize efficiency. It's a bit of a mini game where it's satisfying when you get it right. I love making mini games out of things. Like if I'm playing freaking Sim City with my friend, I'll find a way to make a mini game out of that. Now, yeah, once again, I'm not gonna have enough time for the maintenance check if I schedule the last day. So I'll pop that in, and yeah. Now, I'm kind of curious now. Is there anything I can stick in those two time slots which will work? Because I'm not sure myself. So, if we go to route planning. Now, given that a plane probably flies like airplane cruise speed knots, 500 nautical miles an hour. So, if I want to save 5 hours, there's no way they wait 500. That's so fast. 500 nautical miles an hour? There's no way. Okay, maybe that is just how fast aircraft are. So, does that mean to save 5 hours? Oh wait, maintenance checks don't care about turnaround times though. So, I think 3,000-ish. If I can find any route less than 3,000 nautical miles. If I can find anything less than 3,000, but greater than 2,500, I won't be wasting much time. Fairbanks. Ooh, that would work. How about Anchorage? How's Anchorage doing? Alright, Anchorage. We don't care about you. Merrill Field. Alright, I don't know where that is. So, given that, I can probably fly to Anchorage in my spare days. Now, this is going to be annoying because now I'm going to have filled demand of only 2 days in Anchorage. And this problem is going to cascade down my fleet, I'm telling you that much. So, 850. Wait. This one's the Sunday one. Alright. Sunday at 8:50 and 7:57. Now, that's no good. So, let's skip 5 hours. So, 8:50 plus 5 hours is 13:50. And that works. So, let's go ahead and do this. And wait, is that going to fit in there? Yes, it will. So let's remove this maintenance check. And let's pop this in here. And boom, we have enough time for the maintenance check. And our utilization is high. I think 8. Nope. Okay, where does this go in? 8:05. Great. I was off by 5 minutes. On the Sunday, perform B check at the same time, and there we go. That is an efficiently scheduled airplane, and we can do the same thing on this plane here. So what time do we need to do this? We need to take off at 14:25. It looks like 14:25. And we'll be back at 7:25 a.m. the next day. I hope that leaves enough time for this maintenance check. Whoops, I accidentally pressed cancel. And it does. That's beautiful. So this, I mean, there's honestly enough time, so I can just click 9 and not bother about the minutes. And there we go. Huh? What happened to this? Did I click edit route? I must have clicked edit route instead of create another route like this. So I have to put this one back in now. When was this? 1305, alright. 1305 at Saturday or Sunday. And there we go. Perfect. Now, finally, we have two beautifully scheduled aircraft. And basically what I'm going to do now is every time I find a route like this, like Lihu or Kona or whatever, I can use Fairbanks and on a different day each time to fill in that gap. Now, eventually, like for example, in routes like this, Lihu, I'm not going to have any supply on Saturday. So I'm just going to have to make sure I pick a different day each time. So when I can finally get another aircraft, I can fly that aircraft perfectly in those off days for all those different aircraft, if you see what I mean. But it's basically a really fancy way of 7-day scheduling, where if I just had 7 aircraft, 7-day schedule, the problem would be so. Now that is a really cheap 757, but it can only be leased, and if I lease it, I'm guessing extensions are not allowed. Now, I don't really want to go down that path because I'm going to save some money in the short term. But if I decide to go down that path, then I am going to forget and I'm going to end up with all these routes canceled and I'll never notice. So, yeah, I'm not sure if I really want to lease that guy's aircraft. I'm just going to lease these nice people will allow me to extend and lease, which is so nice. And yes, let's get another 757, and I don't have enough for another lease, but that's fine because my company should be quite profitable the way it is set up. Now let's refresh this, and I think it was Kona, which had enough demand for there's not enough demand for another schedule, so let's find another brand new route. Now, I remember there's one more Hawaiian destination, so it must be in this range, right? Hilo? Hilo's decent. Kahlui? Nope. Anchorage? Nope. This, probably not. Yep, okay. So it must be... which one was it? Short-term memory loss here. Oh, wait. I know another option I can do. I'll do that later. I know there's a bunch of European cities where I can reach with the 757 too, but I think I'll do those later. So let's pick a time anytime. 1425. How long do we waste? A long time. So this is gonna be one of those aircraft where I want to... You know what? Actually, I don't even need to. I don't need to do that stupid thing where I increment the time because I realized that... So I've done Saturday and Sunday, so to keep things consistent, let's just do Monday. Yeah, boom, Monday. And as you can see, the schedule is yellow. What that means is the plane isn't arriving yet. I don't have it yet. It's still waiting to be delivered. You get your first 2 aircraft instantly, which is kind of a nice touch. And then after that, you have to wait to get your aircraft. So, yeah, I won't have my aircraft for another 2 weeks in game. That's 7 hours. So in real life, 7 hours? Yeah, about 7 hours in real life. That's fine though, is because we're just, I'm going to sleep soon, so. Boom, there we go. These are long videos, aren't they? I'm not really used to this long format. I'm recording on my computer, by the way, which is quite nice indeed. finally got a mic so I can record on my desktop computer, which is much more powerful than my laptop, which runs into overheating problems and such when trying to record. So yeah, there we go. That's 3 beautifully scheduled planes. Not much else to do. I mean, we could wait for our first income report, but it's still up to 12 minutes away. So yeah, anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. It's been long. Tell me if you've watched to the end. I'm very happy if you did, and if you enjoyed the episode, because it's a new thing on my channel. Of course, this is a much less visually satisfying game than Air Tycoon Online, where you get lines and such. I mean, we get this shitty ass route map. It's like, wow, we just get some lines. They are, curved at least. So anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you guys next time.